Good afternoon, it's Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology with our regular daily SMESec. So we talk about all things security, but delivered in plain English, not Klingon. So we're talking today about the ransomware. Well, start again. We're covering today with a continuation of our Mitre attack framework, and we're moving on to the next stage. It's going to be quite quick because I don't really want to go into depth about how they do this because it's very technical, and I don't really want to go that deep with it. It's all about really privilege escalation, how they do that. But what I'm going to do is do a refresher on the stages that we've done so far and talk about each individual stage. So if I get my slides up again. So what we've done so far is we've covered off the first few stages, one of them being reconnaissance. So finding out information about the target attack, the target of the attack. So picking a particular target, looking at how strong they are, and also in some cases checking if they've got cybersecurity insurance, because monetization is one of the key things, especially for ransomware attacks at the moment. And a lot of them are checking in advance that you've actually got some kind of cybersecurity insurance to know that you'll be able to pay out if they do attack you and they're successful. So that's one part of that reconnaissance, but also gathering more information about who you deal with, who might be a softer target to get, who could be connected with you, getting information about your end users, your infrastructure, your public facing sites, all those kind of things. Next is resource development, building out what they're going to do. So depending on the type of attack, they're going to look to build out resources so they can buy these off the dark web. They can borrow them, including botnets from other hacker groups. They can also develop them like we would go out and develop some software. So they actually put together a requirements document and actually develop it how you would a traditional piece of software and build that ready for delivery. And they will do what we call staging, so get in a position where it's easy then to deploy to one of their victims quite easily. So that's all part of that resource development piece, very organized. Initial access, so the first time they get onto your system, whether that's through some kind of malware, which is in decline. The use of exploits is not. Exploitation of operating system and applications is increasing still, but also lots of phishing attacks. And we're seeing 55% of all attacks at the moment are actually through phishing or spear phishing. So again, difference between the two. Phishing is very general, a large number of emails with particular software packages or even links to fictitious websites that tend to masquerade as real ones, but also spear phishing where it's focused at particular individuals within their target environment. So the particular organization they're looking to target and particular individuals in that organization. So very focused at their target. Next one is execution. So initially getting a payload on there and starting that payload to run, whether that's through an exploit within the operating system or whether that's through some issue with some client software, or even through some form of software distribution. I've talked about it the other day that they can actually get into different software delivery platforms that are utilized for updates and things, and then use those commonly used frameworks for delivering updates to actually deliver their malware load onto the system. Then persistence, we talked about that yesterday. So how do they stay on the system and how do they lodge the application so it reruns? So creating system services, setting applications to launch on reboot and login side, creating scripts to do the same, or even running remote services systems as well to actually launch these things. So lots of different ways they can get it to launch, including getting the end user to be a part of that process by pop-ups and things, or even building it into the productivity applications such as Microsoft Office to launch them as well. So they gain persistence, so they're there. The commonest one though is to get your credentials and make it easy for you to them to log remotely onto your system and have access to it at all times and other systems. They're not going to target one system, they're going to do lateral movement. We'll talk about lateral movement later. But the one we're going to talk about briefly today, privilege privilege escalation. So privilege is what capabilities your user has, or the different users, because it's not just for one thing. So your login for your desktop device, your endpoint, whatever that is, your Mac or your PC, will give you a certain amount of privileges. So, you may be able to launch local applications. You might be able to install local applications. You may be able to access remote, drives and be able to access documents in those remote drives. You may also have additional credentials for different services that are internal, web-based services, CRM, customer management type systems, HR systems, even accounting and payroll type systems. These are going to be ideal targets for any hacker. So again, they're going to look to see what privileges you've got, and if they can, try and increase those privileges to try and make sure that if they're on your machine that's compromised, they can use all of the logins you've got to the highest level they can to be able to do whatever they need to do for that attack. Whether that's gathering information, whether it's encrypting files for a ransomware attack, whatever they're looking to utilize it for, or even installing software to do some kind of attack on a third party or one of your partners. This supply chain type attack has become more and more prevalent. So actually getting onto your system to attack someone else is becoming a much bigger issue than it used to be. So privilege escalation is trying to ensure that every login account you've got, that they can get to the highest level, so they can actually create users if they can. Because if they've got admin rights and they can create users, they can create users for themselves. To be able to get into systems, into services that utilize things like Office 365. If they've got admin rights, again, they can create users in there. They can add those users to groups. They can actually pretend to be other people when they actually do that. And that's one of the ways you can do these email thread hijacking capabilities, where they effectively look through a user's emails, get a point in that email where they can actually then send an email so it looks part of that thread of an email. And again, it's really difficult for the end users then who receive this email to know the difference between it coming from the hacker or coming from one of the individuals they've been having an email conversation with, whether that's internal or external. And they're very cautious about how they do it. They actually get the tone of emails that individual sends, how they end those emails, what signatures they put on there, and also if it's specific to the individual they send it to. So getting to that level and that level of granularity is a big thing for them. We're going to carry on with the rest of the framework. So tomorrow we're going to go into defense evasion. So how do they stop their initial engagement on your machine, the initial compromise being one, identified, and secondly removed. So we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. We're going to come on to credential access, then discovery. So they find other services on the network and other machines that they can attack. Looking at lateral movement, how they move between machines once they're actually on a network and on a particular device. Looking at data collection, how they're going to collect that data, what they're going to do with it, how they're going to actually get involved in command and control. So reporting back that there's information that's available, ready to be collected, and exfiltration. So how is that data, that credit card information, if you're some kind of retailer and they've gathered all your customers' credit card details and contact information, or whether it's other kinds of data that they've got and how they push that information back. It could be source code for a particular product that you've developed and they want to actually put their software inside that source code to be able to create a backdoor into more people's systems. Then the impact. So how are they going to impact you as an organization? What's the key thing they're going to do? Are they going to ransomware you by encrypting all your files? Are they going to try and disrupt your business by destroying things? Are they looking to get some kind of ransom against your reputation by telling people that telling you that they're going to announce that they've stolen all this data from you to impact you from a business perspective? So lots of different ways that they could do that impact, and that's the end of my piece on that. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a picture, and then like I say, tomorrow we're going to talk about the defense evasion side of things, how they're going to ensure that once they've compromised your machine or multiple machines, that they can actually evade the defenses you put in place. And we'll cover off maybe a little piece around the difference between passive and active defenses, because there is a difference, and that's something that we're talking to a lot of people about at the moment. Passive is the traditional antivirus type things and personal firewall, where you try and stop them getting in the first place, but once they're in, there's no way that you can identify that's happened. It's very difficult to see, especially if they're very good at what they do and they're using specific exploits or vulnerabilities within operating systems and applications to do it, or they've got the information to be able to log onto your system through some kind of social engineering or phishing type activity. So once they're in, with that traditional passive EPP product, endpoint protection, they're going to struggle. But with an EDR product, so an endpoint detect and respond, that's going to look at it in a different way, and we'll talk about that difference. The other things to just let you aware of, got another session this afternoon. So I do normally a weekly one, just cover off tomorrow. We've got the SMESec security in plain English, Mitre stage 7 defense evasion tomorrow. But also today, I've got Nick Hurd of Mood Design in the hot seat for my regular interview. So we talk about Nick's life, how he's got to where he is today, all the jobs he's done in between time, the kind of things he's done, the experience he's got. So you get a better rounded view of Nick Hurd as a person, but also about his business, and he can tell you a bit more about what Mood Design do over in Leamington Spa. So we've got that 2 o'clock this afternoon. So please join me for that. But we've also got this piece tomorrow at 4 p.m. We've got a cybersecurity for business. So we're going to talk about all the things that could be an issue to you at the moment. There's the actual link. So if you want to go on to hopping.com event cybersecurity for your business and register for that, it's free of charge. It's only an hour. We've got 3 different sections. First section, we're talking about the current threat landscape. That's Peter Rosinski and myself are going to go through what the issues are, what the kind of things that people are facing at the moment. We're then going to move on to how do you do certification, especially for partnership. So if you're going to contract with someone, they're going to want to know that you've done some level of cybersecurity protection. So Pete Rosinski at Assure Technical is going to go through the different types of certification you can do and how you can actually prove to other organizations that you've done a level of security for your business. And then finally, we're going to talk about the difference between passive and active threat protection, EPP and EDR. I mentioned before, endpoint protection, endpoint detect and respond. So we can actually show you the differences in that. And you may find that your insurance company, if you're a business, is looking for you to move away from EPP to EDR products now. And that's one of the key factors in that. So they're wanting you to have some kind of active threat management, active threat detection, and also response to a threat. And again, depending on the size of your organization, it might not be that easy for you to do if you're an SME, but what we can do is talk about some service that we offer that can help in that space on that event. But again, join me tomorrow. We're going through, like I say, stage 7. We look about defense evasion in the Mitre attack framework. Join us this afternoon at 2 o'clock for myself and Nick Hurd in the hot seat, where we go through Nick Hurd's life and also his career path and also what he's doing at Mood Design. And then on Wednesday, if you'd like to join us for the cyber security for your business, and we can give you some advice about how you can protect your business, understand the current landscape, talk about certification and the difference between active and passive protection. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you again tomorrow and this afternoon, if possible, for our event at 2 o'clock. Thanks a lot. Bye.